Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the school board regularly scheduled meeting. Has this meeting been properly noticed?
Yes.
Can you please call a roll?
Carlin.
Here.
Eliason.
Here.
Evans.
Here.
Garner.
Here.
Herzog.
Here.
Umstead.
Here.
Peschel.
Here.
We have a forum.
And then, okay. All right, tonight we'll be led in the Pledge of Allegiance by several students from Reed, I believe, yeah, okay. So if you want, just come on up here. Sorry, you already have your drums on. You have to bring it up, you'll have to bring it with you. Full name, thank you, Addison. All right, interest in Nelson. Kind of. Thank you, guys. And now, we're going to be led, or we're going to get to enjoy a
Little
performance.
introduction
Yeah,
first.
help.
So I'm super excited to give you this opportunity that Reed Elementary developed with coordination with Merrill Middle School. So we had come up with the idea of a drumming circle, and the whole idea developed from one of our EL teachers who was reading some interventions through music therapy. And so I'm going to introduce you Nancy Schumacher, and she's going to tell you how this sort of all evolved.
Okay. The idea of using music as an intervention began last fall. I was reading a novel by Jodi Picoult, and in that story, the main character was a music therapist. Her most challenging client was an almost catatonic, angry nursing home patient. Through music, she was able to connect with him. As I read, I realized I had that same client, only in the form of a student with refugee background. He too would regress inside himself, unable to be reached, although we used all the usual strategies that my principal, Jackie, and I had implemented. I wondered if we could reach him through music. I talked with Dawn Shimura, the ELL coordinator, and as I knew the ELL department had drums, I asked her if I could pick one up. When I did, she wanted to know why, and so I told her, and she said, "Wouldn't it be cool if we could get a drumming circle going at your school?" Together, we did more research, and Dawn wrote up the proposal. Drumming sessions began on January 4th at Reed Elementary and at Merrill Middle, led by Robin Cardell of the Oshkosh Rhythm Institute. So they're here to perform for you tonight, and as they do, there are quotes that are going to be flashing up there that I have received from several teachers regarding the effects of music on our children. Thank you.
Before they start, I just want to be able to introduce our students to you. So starting right here, we have Chakabuda. And then we have Masabuko.
Hello.
Savannah. Addison. Yawa. Is that how you say it?
Close enough.
Rennick. Isa.
Hi.
Jamal. And then we have Focus here on the end. All right, do your stuff.
Yeah.
Tell them what the name of the song we're going to play for them.
The name of the song is called Bangalore
Where's it from?
from Tanzania, Africa, Liberia, South.
And what does it mean? What kind of song?
Welcome song.
A welcome song.
Okay.
All right.
Very good.
Hope you enjoy. normally what we do in drum circle is not performance-based, but the kids are like sponges with this stuff, and I'm happy that we were able to come give you a peek at what's going on. It's been a real joy to work with them. Thank you.
Students, is there anything you wanted to add? Anything anyone wants to say?
You coming?
Oh, thank you. Anytime you need to get your drumming fix in, Tuesday and Thursdays from 11 to 12, they will be rocking out. In fact, one day I was walking from my car back in the building and I was like, what is that sound? And as I got closer and realized it was Tuesday, I was like, it's the drums. So you can hear it from all over. So,
cool.
Nice job.
Oh, thank
you.
Can we open all of our board meetings?
I know, right?
I think a board drum circle is.
I was just,
I-
yes.
Yes.
I'm in.
I'm in.
I'm in.
I'm in.
Robin?
Robin, come back.
Schedule it.
Yeah.
All right, now,
Okay, yeah, I guess we gotta go back to work now.
Follow that.
That should just energize us for our work.
Yeah, that was wonderful. All right, as they're moving things out, we'll go ahead and get into the board and administrative reports. I don't have anything to report, so we'll go right into the superintendent's good news report.
This is a hard act to follow.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, good evening. This is the superintendent's good news report for the 21st of March 2018. Congratulations to the K-12 artists who work was selected this year for the Youth Art Month event. Thanks to Artspace Collective Gallery for the use of their space, and artwork was featured in the March Oshkosh Gallery Walk. Thanks to those who worked so hard to make the event so successful. The art work will continue to be on display until March 24th at the times that are listed, and one can double check that both online or as well downtown on the door, as I've discovered. Smith Elementary students had a great time during the Read Across America Week by celebrating Dr. Seuss' birthday, having guest readers in their classroom, and participating in bookmark creation contests where the winners were awarded by Dr. Seuss book. Read celebrates across America. Read Elementary School students also celebrated Read Across America Week by having a special guest from the Oshkosh North High School, UW Oshkosh, and the district office read to them. So, a whole collection of readers that week. Lakeside teachers and families are excited to be participating in their first special reading opportunity by reading the book Friendship, according to Humphrey. Every family received a copy of the book as well as a calendar and spends time reading together and enjoying the book. Quotes from the book have been posted throughout the school, and trivia questions are included in the announcements. Thanks for all who made this opportunity possible. Tipler and ALP students took the pledge to spread the word, spread the end of the word on March 7th. The annual campaign, sponsored by the Special Olympics, brings an awareness to all about the harmlessness and impact of using words such as retarded and retard. Congratulations to Oshkosh West High School's band, who participated in the WSMA District Solo and Ensemble Festival. 36 students from the group will be advanced to the state level competition on April 28th. And all the band students have a lot of fun, and they're very proud of that accomplishment. Congratulations to Oshkosh West High School DECA students, Michaela and Jenna, who recently competed in state-level competition. Michaela will advance to the national competition from April 21st to the 24th in Atlanta, Georgia. We wish them the very best. Fox 11, Good News Wisconsin, recently filmed their show at Carl Traeger Elementary School, showcasing the morning video announcements, growth mindset, the Wings project, mindfulness, ball drumming, and musical practices. Carl Traeger Elementary School students enjoyed family night with the OASD food service catered dinner and a chance to learn at stations that included coding, photo booth, family thinking journal, and board games, among others. South Park Student Council held a peanut butter and jelly drive in February for Feeding America, collecting nearly 300 pounds of PB&J at South Park Middle School. Each student who donated received a voucher for a ticket to a March Milwaukee Bucks Wisconsin Herd game. 6 lucky students were able to sort, box, and deliver donations and learn all about Feeding America, the Feeding America program. Communities 2 students planned and facilitated the 5th year of the And Davy Chili Cook-Off, a fundraiser which assists students in Oshkosh North High School in obtaining basic need items. Staff makes chili that can pass and with a taste testing and purchase ballots for the vote for the best chili. This year's fundraiser raised $1,170. 17 band students from North and 15 band students from Oshkosh West joined other students from the area to form the annual Fox Valley Association South Conference Honors Band, which was led by UWO band director Devin Otto. Check out the performance by clicking on this link, and these links, these entire notes are always published and distributed widely and available, and be able to take a look at the great music performed by these students. Students from Oshkosh North High School recently pitched their new and improved business ideas to judges from the Bemis Corporation at the 3rd annual Shark Tank competition. The top 3 students will compete April 25th against teams from Oshkosh West High School, Valley Christian, and Lourdes. Jefferson Elementary School students and staff are sending out big thank you to the First English Church for their partnership and their donations to the school throughout the year, such as as Gary and Claudine Ross, John Stroke, and their generous donations for clothing and laundry detergents. How wonderful it is to have these items necessary and available for those who need them. Jefferson Elementary School Media Center was transformed into Detective Diner for 4th grade students to provide them with the opportunity to sample several mystery books and decide which books would be best fit for them and whether or not they'd recommend the book to others. Students enjoyed having time to discover new favorite books through that event. Students in 5th grade in Washington Elementary School researched and created a digital video presentation about the influence of African Americans during Black History Month. This is a great opportunity to learn about history while at the same time using and learning the use of technology. Students in 5th grade are teachers for the excited kindergartners at Washington Elementary School. Together they've been working to learn about their features of the Chromebook, becoming familiar with coding and robotics, and in the next few weeks we'll learn about coding on Chromebooks, drawing shapes, numbers, and letters with spirals and performing dash and dot. Youth Leadership Oshkosh students provided several opportunities to tour and learn about the businesses as part of Business Day. They rode in Oshkosh Defense Vehicles, learned about careers at Oshkosh Corporation, and guiding principles and cultures at Verve, as well as they toured upcoming developments in Oshkosh, getting behind the scenes to look at the backstage at Menominee Nation Arena. STEM Academy students had a special guest during Read Across America Week. A big thank you goes out to Officer Dwayne Odd, who spent time in the morning reading Dr. Seuss books to the students. A luau dance was held at Shapiro on March 2nd as fundraiser to help students participate in field trips. Mr. Crow, Shapiro's music teacher, provided DJ services for the PTO, families, students, and staff to enjoy the evening. A huge thank you to Culver's for supporting Shapiro's fundraiser. Culver's presented a check for $228 that will be used to purchase materials for the upcoming STEM Family Night. Congratulations to the OASD staff, Ivy, Stefan, Ann, and Dana, who were recently recognized Making a Difference Award with Wisconsin Council of Administrators of Special Services Region 4 for this outstanding achievement and personal commitment to supporting students with exceptional needs and those considered at risk. For the life of me, I don't know why we don't have the information relating to the state championship for Oshkosh North boys basketball team, but
Heard they won.
Yeah, we heard they won, and I kept expecting that would arrive, but we will have to remind North High School that we can still celebrate at the next board meeting. Congratulations to them and for an outstanding season. Today I had the privilege of the Fox Valley Superintendent's afternoon meeting that there were 3 superintendents who were very proud of state champions. We had the superintendent of Appleton for the girls' state championship, and the superintendent of Kaukauna and the superintendent of Oshkosh all in one place with state champion basketball teams. That doesn't happen very often in the same narrow area of the state, but we will make sure that we recognize, and I'm going to ask if we could not, this happens in such infrequency, we really need to ask if we can get the boys together along with their coaches to recognize them at a future board meeting.
Yeah, that'd be great.
That completes the superintendent's report and the activities for the superintendent for the past 2-week period.
You're busy. All right, thank you. Are there any committee chairs who would like to share reports? No? Okay. let's leave them. All right, so let's see, non-agenda related public forum. Is there anybody here that would like to address the board on non-agenda related public forum or agenda related? It's not looking like that's going to happen. Okay, good. So we're going to go right into the consent resolution agenda. For the consent agenda, the board has been furnished with background material on each item or has discussed it at a previous meeting. These will be acted upon with one vote without discussion. If a board member wants to discuss any item, it will be pulled out of the consent agenda and will be voted on separately. Is there anybody, does anybody want to fill anything else?
6B, please.
6B? Anything else?
Hold on 1 second, please. I lost my agenda. Can I see your agenda, please?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Thank you. Technology, sometimes it gets the better of us. Yeah, 6C.
Okay. Anything else? Okay. Here we go. The board will consider approval of 1 minutes of February 28, 2018 executive session at regular board meeting, 2 minutes of February 28, 2018 regular board meeting, 3 minutes of February 28, 2018 executive session at regular board meeting, 4 minutes of March 7, 2018 regular board meeting, 5 bills payable, 6 personnel, appointments, resignations, and salary schedule, and then 7 final notice of non-renewals for teachers.
So moved.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Evans?
Aye.
Evans, aye. Garner?
Aye.
Garner, aye. Herzog?
Aye.
Herzog, aye. Olmsted?
Aye.
Olmsted, aye. Peschel?
Aye.
Peschel, aye. Harlan?
Aye.
Harlan, aye. Eliason?
Aye.
Eliason, aye. Motion carried.
Okay, so resolution 6B. Be it resolved that the Oshkosh Area School District Board of Education approve the retirements as filed with the Secretary to the Board of Education.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Yes.
Mrs. Garner, I had asked that this one be pulled. There are a number of just outstanding individuals who have served this district going back to 1985. And I've been in a number of these classrooms over time. Lynn Bridwell is retiring as an elementary music teacher who has taught in a variety of Oshkosh schools, but is retiring from Roosevelt and Merrill this year. Blanca Contreras, a cook from Oshkosh North High School. Lonnie Corpus, a math teacher from Oshkosh West. Andrea Dietrich from South Park Middle School. Catherine Jackson, an early childhood teacher retiring from the Ready for Learning program, Bev Solito, a kindergarten teacher at Reed Elementary, and finally Becky Stry, an ID teacher who's retiring from Emmeline Cook. I just want to wish these people well in this next stage of life and thank them for the many services they provided for the children of this district and their families. These are just outstanding people, and it's always bittersweet because we're sorry to see these people go, but we know that they're ready and they'd like to move into a new phase and stage of life. So best wishes to all of them.
Absolutely. Thank you, Barb. Any other discussion? Okay, please call the roll.
Turner.
Aye.
Turner, aye. Herzog.
Aye.
Herzog, aye. Olmsted.
Aye.
Olmsted, aye. Peschel.
Aye.
Peschel, aye. Carlin.
Aye.
Carlin, aye. Eliason.
Aye.
Eliason, aye. Evans.
Aye.
Evans, aye. Motion carried.
Okay, Resolution 6C, be it resolved that the Oshkosh Area School District Board of Education approve the appointment and salary schedule as filed with the Secretary of the Board of Education.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Sure. So I asked for this one to be removed, partially because I just wanted to have a discussion about hires at this stage of Mr. Mack's term. So it has nothing to do with what I perceive Mr. Mack's wonderful ability to find staff to work in our district. It has more so about the timing of moving forward at this time and filling those positions. So, and so I just kind of wanted to have a discussion, see if the board had anything that they wanted to bring in. I wanted to involve. I'd let Andy know that I was gonna kind of bring it up. I know that Andy, you had sent over some information about the process and timeline of kind of what had kind of taken place, and so I thank you for doing that. And so, and partially, and the reason why I bring it up is that to me it's I don't know, I don't understand what the hurry or what the rush would be to fill the Oshkosh North principal position, being that our next superintendent will be here in enough time to be able to be part of that process. Also knowing that our next superintendent is also involved in the process in all of this too. I still want to hear what, why we're moving at the speed that we're moving to fill these vacancies.
Thank you, Bob. That's a great question. First of all, I'll start with your last question first. In the administration right now, and again throughout all of education, you're seeing a shortage of candidates, both all the way from teachers up through administration. And as that shortage continues, the lack of quality candidates that we can choose from, and that every other district is also posting and filling, that kind of creates the timeline, maybe a natural timeline that we're moving with. Second thing, it was upon Mr. Mack's recommendation that we asked Dr. Cartwright to be involved. So Dr. Cartwright was involved directly with this hire. She was involved, and typically the superintendent doesn't get involved into the second round. We usually, for administrative positions, not usually, always, we have 2 rounds of interviews. The first one consists of staff, and in the case of North High School, we had 10 staff members consisting of teachers, custodians, secretaries, every area that we can have to have representation. And then after that one, finalists are selected, and this can be, in this case, I believe we looked at 4 candidates. And the committee can forward all 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, or none. And in this case, they selected 2 to move forward to the executive team. And then at that time, the entire executive team with Mr. Mack and Dr. Cartwright via Skype from Florida participated in the interview process.
Andy, can you just run through when it started?
Sure.
Because if you just look at the documentation, it looks like it happened in 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's far from
Yeah.
that. The first thing that happened was we were made aware that another district was interested in our principal, and that happened at January 19th.
Okay.
After that, on February 2nd, a resignation was submitted to myself and Mr. Mack. After that, we went ahead per Mr. Mack's order. He said, let's go ahead and post that right away. And the reason is because of what I've mentioned to already, the lack of candidates. And we did that knowing that the board still has to act on that resignation, but we set a very long timeline for this. In this case, it was posted for 19 days. So we had a very long window, and that window, again, per Mr. Mack's direction, was to make sure that the board had voted on and approved the next superintendent, AKA Dr. Cartwright. And then from that, which we typically do, we went and met with the staff and explained, here's the hiring process. That was Mr. Mack, myself, and Dr. Gunlock. That was done on the 7th of February. We informed them that we were going to send a survey to them asking for insights, so they had input into the process as well. They sent that electronically to us. And then on February 16th, I gathered all that information, sent it back to the entire staff to say, here's the feedback that you gave us. We derived questions from that. And then on the 28th, you accepted the principal's resignation. Also on the 28th, we did round 1 of the interviews with the team I just told you about. And then on March 7th, we had the second round of interviews, and I can tell you that Mrs. Kiffmeyer was the unanimous choice by the entire executive team and Dr. Cartwright. And then on March 8th, verbally, Mrs. Kiffmeyer accepted offer pending board approval. That leads us to March 21st. So from March 19th down to today is the actual
You mean
process in
January.
time. January, I'm sorry, thank you. January 19th to March 21st was the actual timeline of actual events.
Part of my concern with including Dr. Cartwright in the process is the fact that I believe it's very important for the transition. You should be aware that from my appointment in late May, early June of 2012, at least 3 administrative vacancies were filled during that time, and I was not at all involved. I was not disappointed with the outcome because they were fine individuals that moved into the positions. But it's a process that I so firmly believe in that I would have liked to have been participating, but including Dr. Cartwright in every one of those positions, which we will continue to do. Vicki and I have had conversations, I believe, almost twice a week throughout this process and continuing, and she has requested that Sherry set up an opportunity and schedule me into at least a half hour several times a week that will continue conversation, because for her comfort level is there's only so much you can absorb at a period of time, and so we're working on a schedule just like Sherry schedules my time when I do building visits. There will be Vicki visits that will be on a regular basis, so we continue to work together on making sure that the process works, and we'll be identifying specific times of overlap when Vicki is able to be here. So the progress continues, and the consideration that included last week, the conversation that Dave Gunlock and I had with Vicki about moving ahead with posting Human Resources Director position. That was agreed upon. That position was then posted on Monday, and we'll be proceeding, and Dr. Cartwright will be a party to that interview process, either remotely or depending upon the schedule directly if it's one of the weeks that she would be here. The issue that we have in all of those positions, and Andy said it very clearly, that we worry about filling vacancies. The competition is out there for with few experienced administrators for key positions, and I would argue that very few, if any, of our principal positions or our other administrative positions are jobs for rookies, and so we're always competing for experience, and that's the goal that we set.
And just to be, I've been very transparent, assuming if we have a vote coming up here very shortly, we've already started that process already, gathering information from the next vacancy that may happen with us. And we can go ahead and do that, and we're not getting ahead of the board because we're just doing the preliminary things that we would do anyways. If the board decided to go in a different direction, we'd still be fine. And so we don't move until the board approves and does things. But my point is that the same process will happen again. If for every school that we do, this is the same process we use. Did I answer your question, Bob?
You did.
Thank you.
Mr. Peschel, having been an administrator for many years myself, it's a very seasonal situation, whether you're talking about the university or Fox Valley Tech or UW Oshkosh, and this is prime hiring season. So it's very common if someone is going to move to a new position for them to do so oftentimes in a December or January timeframe, or at least by February if they're not planning to return the following fall. So there are lots of districts competing for the same pool of candidates, and that was, I think, one of the advantages that we had as a board in terms of our superintendent search process, because we were out much earlier than many other districts. We were posting already in November, which is considered early, and which was a good thing because we know we got quite a few quality candidates as a result of that pool. So that's part of the reason as well. To wait until June to fill a high school principal position would be a challenge at best. And this district has been in that position some years ago with someone who left in the summer, and then to try to find a replacement over the summer, because principals work all year round, and the summers are busy times. Those are prime hiring times for them to settle things in terms of their building. So having someone on board, a quality person, as we're voting on tonight, on board early, I think is wonderful. Mrs. Garner and I had shared a concern with Mr. Mack at our agenda-setting meeting on February 20th, and we specifically asked that Dr. Cartwright be included in any and all administrative positions moving forward, because they will be part of her team in the future, and so we want to make sure that she is allowed to weigh in terms of qualities that she's looking for in those administrative positions as well.
And that was the plan, that having experienced those transitions before, my selection and the board filling the vacancy as late as they did the last time with my appointment was not the ideal time. What we have is, by the board's early decision, puts us in a position to smoothly fill in the spaces that we need to within the district in a timely fashion with consultation and connection with our new superintendent.
Did you have any?
Oh,
Yes.
I'd like to speak just a bit about and really seek the input of our board. And I'm hesitant because I really like the person about to fill this post. Okay, so let me decouple these two conversations, the person and the process. I'm concerned that we have a process that, in my world experience, looks very different from other organizations, healthcare or youth programming or advertising photography. And so the question, and I could go through a few bullet points on what the specifics of that, but my question is, do we want to have a conversation as a board, perhaps not tonight, but on some future agenda item, about our hiring process and how we're different from other organizations? And should we look more like Mayo Clinic or more like Epic Systems in our hiring, attraction, recruiting, retention, on where we look, on the geographic diversity, on any other elements of diversity in our candidate pool? Because I know that our last 3 principal hires have come from within, which is like hitting lightning 3 times in a row, right? There are 23 principals in Oshkosh. There are 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 in Wisconsin. There are 200,000 in the U.S. And to routinely get candidates from a pool of 23 seems remarkable. And so that to me seems worth a conversation. So my question would be, I can pick this back up on the request for future agenda items, or do we want to have a conversation about that now? And again, I don't want to have a cloud over this appointment. That's not my intention.
Can I answer part of his question? So Steve, I know last time when we talked with Ron from Canada, one of the things that I think we put on the, you'll have to remind me, but I thought we were going to put something on the future agenda where we were going to talk about some kind of partnership, collaboration initiative where we were going to intentionally go out and find best practices from outside of the world of education. And what you just stated seems like it fits very nicely in that.
Perfect, Allison, yes, I think that's a big conversation.
Okay.
Just remembering that we are restricted by Wisconsin license.
Absolutely.
And that is the issue of making sure that we have appropriately licensed individuals, that, yes, you can acquire a license from another state. We also need to recognize that we pay considerably less than most places, and if you're looking for principals across the country, the reality is they look at our salary and they make choices.
Sure.
And that's part of the issue. We certainly we advertise and make ourselves available through that process, but we also follow a policy on selecting and advertising for principals, but we also follow our policy on the selection process. And I think that we've done well with principal leadership as we found it. Sometimes the other finalist candidate was from the outside of the school district, and from at least clear across the state.
Yeah.
But so that process it does work. Being able to cast a blanket, and unless we're going to disrupt our comparable compensation schedules, we are in a serious problem, because just like with our teacher compensation, we have not kept pace with our neighbors.
Right. A question that I would have in that regard, Mr. Mack, is we just heard on all news outlets about the strike in West Virginia, rumblings in Oklahoma, other low-wage states. So the natural question, well, the 8-year question for me is, why don't we deliberately recruit in superstars from low-wage states? I would think we'd look attractive, but that's a separate conversation, I suppose.
Based on what I know about those low-wage states, we would not choose to do that.
So
Because
the
I know those folks.
So the question was, can we have this on a future agenda?
Sure.
Yeah,
I
and
think,
I would weave in the learning partnership, where we go with that, advisory council of
Yes.
highly successful business
Yep.
leaders or nonprofit leaders, whomever that might be,
Yeah.
and our recruiting, this sort of whole picture of being more
sure
attractive.
feels like it. Yeah.
That'd be great.
Our administrative hiring process was changed, I believe, in the fall of 2015 when we shifted our policy work to Neola. And I think that was a good thing in that the policy that we had was very different from what Neola came up with. Ours was considerably longer, which is probably the only policy I've seen in the last 3.5 years, where theirs is shorter than what we had. But ours was very prescriptive, and it included a variety of people at different points. And according to the Northwestern, there was a period of at least 5 years, 2 years rather, 2 years that the Northwestern reported on where that policy wasn't being followed, and then another 3 years where the Northwestern didn't report that, but reportedly it was not being followed. So with any policy, it's not cast in concrete or in stone, and if it's not working, we need to fix it. And so I think we did that in the fall of 2015. But as with any policy, it needs to be reviewed. There are at least 3 references, I believe, in our current policies to continuous improvement. So we should be reviewing the quality of the policies, what's in the policies, and looking to make changes and improvements as we go along. And perhaps we could tie that into a policy conversation. It may also fit in tonight, depending on how the conversation goes with our own self-evaluation. So there may be some ways to explore what you're saying within the bounds of the open meetings law, and making sure that we follow that as well.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Sounds great.
Is there any additional conversation around the appointment of this administrator? Trying to wrap it all back in. Yep.
So, first Stan, I want to thank you for providing that, Stan and Dr. Erzhog, for providing that input in regards to the licensure. And, I forgot it. My mind's not working the best tonight. So. But it gave me a lot more insight as to help me understand the process a little bit more through all of this. So, so it leads me to one more question, and it relates to WeCan. And so, from what I gather, this is kind of the clearinghouse of where vacancies for educational positions for Wisconsin are housed.
It's the state-sponsored process that's the common ground. that also, by the data collection, puts together all of the comparable data and asks the same questions from all candidates who wish to apply. Andy, by chance, with our posted vacancies right now for both elementary and because of the resignation of assistant principal, we have some considerable large numbers of applicants.
Mhm.
Do you recall those numbers?
I can tell you for the position at North High School, I believe there was over 50 applicants. For the assistant principal at North, that Mrs. Kiffmeyer and what we did one round of interviews today, I believe there was almost close to 100. And then currently, and the job hasn't even closed yet, last I looked at the possible Reed principal position, pending board approval tonight, that was up into the 40s. Now, that sounds impressive, but again, the quality of individuals that we're getting is, again, the lack of leadership out there is definitely, again, as Mr. Mack alluded to, everybody's competing for the same people. And while that sounds a lot, for example, for the Reed position, I would say 90% have no administrative experience. And that's, again, as Mr. Mack said, that's we're looking for somebody, hopefully, that has some experience, or at least, if nothing else, knows our district well, and knows what we're doing already. So there's a lot of people out there, but again, there's not a lot of talent at the moment.
Did you have a question around a weekend? Or did that answer?
No, that kind of answered it. I mean, my only follow-up question would be that if we feel that we're struggling to find the right talent, what are we doing outside of just this source to recruit that talent?
Great
That's
question,
exactly
Bob.
what Steve
What we do
was
is as we know, as Mr. Mack just alluded to, even across state lines, education is a pretty small world at times. And so when we have an administrative vacancy, we use our network. All the administrators, administrative team, other people will recommend candidates to us, and we'll seek them out as well. People that we know might be a good fit. And all we're saying is come in for an interview. That's all we promise anybody. And then after that, it's a fair process that we lay out. So we try to recruit people. But again, Mr. Mack has pointed out, there are, it's hard to, for example, again, when I look at some of these, when we're going through the weekend applications, we'll see experienced administrators and we'll ask them, and sometimes to come in, but they're our highest paid principal. They're already, $12,000 making it in the position that's less than ours. As an assistant principal, they're making more than our principals. And that's the problem Mr. Mack was alluding to. And it's hard to attract candidates when this is your finite world that you live in. We're a low-spending district, and we're getting, hopefully, again, some aid to help those things. But it's hard to say, come with us, when you can't pay them appropriately.
One of the things we could do is we could choose to advertise in publications such as the board advertised in Education Week. The reality is that we may very well attract potential applicants, but we will discover that, and that would be national, or we could buy advertising in like state associations across the.
And we did do
secondary-
that, by the way,
yes.
for North. We
Yeah.
did pay for that too. We went out, over weekend, we went to the state organizations, the National Association of Secondary School Principals, the state level of that. We applied to them, and I think it also, by byproduct, also went out through the school boards association. It might have, I don't know, but I know the two associations are very close, and
But
they have a
the-
whole list of.
But the
so we
Principals
listed it twice.
Association would be the normal connection, or national advertising. The issue comes in the fact that we compete, if we try to compete on a national scale, we cannot match, and we're not going to pick one principal and pay $10,000 or $12,000 more and upset their compensation schedule. And that's the nightmare we truly face. And frankly, yes, our principals as well as our district administrators all need. And we're fortunate to hold on to the people we have, because if we were competing out in the open market, every person could leave us and obtain a higher compensation.
Yeah, I think that's the real issue. Not that we're not finding good candidates, because we have good principals in the system. But we start off at, as it's been mentioned several times, we start off at a disadvantage. From the first time we run that ad, we're at a disadvantage.
And the salary range, Jim, you're correct, the salary range is posted within those, it gives a range. We give that range in there, so that's part of the weekend process. You post what the job pays, that's part of the application that you post out there. And so, yeah, you're directly competing against every district in the state of Wisconsin.
And frankly, I'm tired of being a feeder system for a school that's located a little bit above us here.
That being said, Jim, Mr. Mack points out something that I want to, as the Executive Director of Administration, you do have an exceptional bunch of administrators here. And I can tell you, as for several years now, we've been very, very stable. Now, we expect assistant principals to grow and to leave us. They only leave us because there wasn't positions available for them to move up. And we wish them well. But at the same time, while money is definitely a factor, and I would say that's an initial factor, people stay because of who they work with and who they work for. That's why these principals stay. And you have an exceptional team at all levels because of the team that they work for and who they work with. And it goes all the way up to the board. That's why they stay. They could, every one of the administrators that I supervise could make $10,000 more and go 5 minutes away.
This is all good conversation, but I don't think it relates to the resolution.
Good point.
I think we're.
Well, the whole line
we're
of
not-
questioning doesn't necessarily relate
I don't think
to-
we're noticed to get into all these salary issues tonight.
Okay, is there any other further discussion on the appointment of this administrator? Okay, please call the roll. Thank you.
Herzog?
Aye.
Herzog,
Thanks.
aye. Olmsted?
Aye.
Olmsted, aye. Peschel?
Aye.
Peschel, aye. Carlin?
Aye.
Carlin, aye. Eliason?
Aye.
Eliason, aye. Evans?
Aye.
Evans, aye. Garner?
Aye.
Garner, aye. Motion carried.
Okay.
Congratulations,
Yes.
Jackie Kipler.
Yay, Jackie.
And again, I'm very, very honored, and again, to say again to you and the public, it was a unanimous decision by the entire executive team that we're very proud to announce that Jackie is now the official North High School principal, and we're looking forward to her service. So we just want everybody to get a face and a name so they can associate that. So congratulations.
But we
Thank you.
remind that we have another Jackie through June 30th.
Yeah.
And we have this Jackie effective July 1, just like we have one superintendent now, and through July 1, you have another one.
But do we save money, only have to change one part of the door?
Yes, yeah. Yes,
Yeah,
we
her name
printed-
tag.
printed
I
the
promise
sign.
that wasn't part of the requirement.
Thank you.
Welcome, Jackie.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, so there's no individually considered resolutions, so we're going to go right into our workshop tonight, which is the board self-evaluation. So, as I usually do with these, I'd like to open it up. You guys have by now seen the full report from all of the responses. The report itself is divided up into 9 areas. And so I thought instead of going through every single one of these questions, because we've all seen the questions, we've all answered them, we've all read the results, I was wondering if maybe we could just break it up into those 9 categories and flesh out any things that we'd like to follow up on. So.
Agreed.
Is that?
Sounds good. Yep.
I like it. All right, thank you, guys. All right, so the first category is the data-driven decision-making. In general, I think we scored ourselves mostly partially achieved to mostly achieved with most of that. Is there anything that any of us would like to see in regards to future data-driven decisions? I know we've asked for disaggregated data. I think my reflection, I'll start. So my reflection on the data is that we have to be really clear on what it is that we want, because data is infinite. So if there's something that we want, I think it would be helpful if we're like crystal clear I want to see these schools, I want to see this category, you know, I want to see these kinds of students, whatever. I think that that's something, at least my own self-reflection, I do not do a good job of that. And I'm wondering if part of that is systemic throughout the whole board.
I agree with you. I think being specific is important because, as has been noted tonight and on other occasions, we have a very talented group of individuals who work in this district at all levels, teaching and certainly administration. And so it's important that we be specific in terms of what we need to look at or want to look at, so that we're not asking them to go off in some Don Quixote direction and have them not use their time wisely. So being specific, I think is really important when it comes to data. We took a phrase from the prior strategic plan. I don't remember where it fit, but anyway, the line had to do with providing the board with comprehensive information or data on which to make decisions. That's paraphrasing, it's not a direct quote. But I like that so well that I took it to the Policy and Governance Committee, and it's now in board policy. So again, being specific and letting administration know what we need or what we think we need in order to make decisions, because later on in here, there was a question dealing with our ability to make decisions based on data, and I don't think we've rated ourselves as high as we might have. So in fairness to administration and in moving the district forward, I think specificity is important.
I think that we get a fabulous amount of data when we are with new programs or new curriculum. You know, all of that data comes in, and I think our administration team does an excellent job with that. I think I want more data, and I agree, I need to ask for that data on programs that we have put in and how they're doing. You know, we get all the upfront thing, I just don't think I'm getting,
And then
I
being very
don't know how to ask for it. Yeah, so this is
So
on
when
me,
you
but-
ask, instead of saying, how are we doing, we have to be specific. I would like to see, you know,
This
results
program,
of PBIS
yes.
on these students at
Right,
this,
yeah,
whatever.
so just
Yeah.
ask for more specific things that we're
Yeah,
seeing.
you have to be clear. So how would you know how we're doing, right? Like,
Right,
if they gave you the
yeah.
numbers, what would that look like, right?
Right, and I think
Okay.
with us being more clear would help them, I just don't think
Yep.
we're being specific enough,
Right.
you know?
No, we just keep saying we want to see it, and
But
I'm
what do
guilty.
you want to see? Yeah, I agree.
any other reflections?
I'm a little uncomfortable doing this in open meeting, just to put that out there, because we've always done it in closed session.
Yeah, I was surprised that was
No,
in
we haven't,
open.
excuse me, we haven't done it in closed session because it doesn't fall under the closed session rules. We've done it on a night when we haven't had a camera rolling. But we've not been able to do this in a closed session.
We've always done it, a special meeting.
Mhm.
I got you, okay.
Well, we can
So
keep
we
our
can be-
conversation general.
Are you okay to move forward and be vague?
Yeah. I'm not going to be saying much, but go ahead.
Well, that's,
I might suggest that we could, we have a meeting scheduled with my quarterly report to the board, that if there was a greater comfort level, and that's, I believe, the 3rd of April, 3rd or 4th, that I'd be glad to share the evening. I don't expect that a quarterly report would occupy the entire evening, but if that discussion is easier, we can certainly accommodate that issue for the board. And, but no, we've always been in open session, and, but we're so unpopular that we generally don't have an audience.
would you guys be more comfortable moving this to April 3rd?
It doesn't matter to me. I'm completely open
Yeah.
to airing my faults, but I don't, you know.
Okay. Steve, do you have
I think it may be where the uncomfortability is something that I see, you know,
So you're okay either way?
I'm really okay either
Do you have
way.
an opinion?
Yeah, I'm split either way, although if Jim has a slight preference, I'm absolutely fine to go along with that.
Yeah,
Barb,
absolutely.
you have a?
I'd be fine moving this to April 3rd.
I would too.
I think whatever makes it the most comfortable for us to openly discuss.
And it's still an open meeting, so
It
if
still is.
someone out there
Absolutely.
wants to see it and hear, they can still come and listen, and, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
So, do we need to make a motion to have it moved?
We can table, can we make a motion to table?
But you can move to a date certain, which would be April 3rd.
Okay.
It's a workshop, I think it would probably be
Yeah,
best
it's not a
to
resolution
still,
or anything, so we can,
move to have it moved.
okay.
Because you reach consensus on,
Yeah, yeah,
on
yeah.
what your self-evaluation is. As I have said with no audience or with the limited audience, this is the first board that and I've worked for a lot of boards, who has taken self-evaluation so seriously and have dedicated themselves to analyzing their work. And I give you full credit as a board for taking that seriously, and the fact that you take that on. Seldom does that ever occur with school boards. And I've worked for lots of different compositions of board, and from the very first year that I came to this district, and for the last 6 years, you have done that faithfully. And I give you all the credit in the world, and it deserves your considered attention and comfortable speech.
So before we make a motion to move it, can I just ask that we all come back to that April 3rd meeting with opportunities, things that we're doing well, and opportunities to do better, so that we're,
Specific ones?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, not dissertation, but let's at least come. Is that acceptable?
Opportunity?
Can I ask
Yeah.
for a friendly amendment to your suggested date? I think we want to do
I'll allow
April
it.
4th.
Oh, is it?
Or April 3rd.
Okay.
Yeah, Wednesday, whatever is.
If we're gonna move the date, let's move it to the right date.
Sunday the 1st, that makes Wednesday the 4th.
Can I make a friendly suggestion, he says?
I'll allow it.
So opportunities and what?
What we're doing, I always call it brilliance and opportunities,
Okay,
but
okay.
you call it whatever you want.
Oh, that's good.
My
I think
system.
that's a good idea.
Okay.
I've had conversation with Ted Knightsky, actually. He offered, as the CISA 6 director, he said as part of your membership in CISA 6, that he would be very happy to meet with us as a board and with Dr. Cartwright moving forward and assisting us in deciding what goals might come
Yeah.
out of this. And
Okay.
also, he said it's a good time to review roles and responsibilities of superintendent and board. And,
Well, this
you know,
one, yeah.
as Stan brings a great wealth of experience working with a number of boards, Mr. Knightsky does as well as a CISA 6 director. He visits lots of districts within the system and observes meetings and then makes observations or recommendations. Similarly, John Ashley, who is the executive director of the Wisconsin Association of School Boards, would be willing to do that as well. He brings a different perspective, representing boards, essentially. And this tool that we used actually comes from this publication, which many of us have seen, Key Work of School Boards. I had attended a session on this 3 years ago. But my notes still hold true today. I'm not going to share all of my notes with you, but there were some key things that were shared in terms of the primary work of the board is raising student achievement. Excellence in the classroom begins with excellence in the boardroom. That's often one that I focus on when I'm driving home at night, questioning what did we do tonight that really impacted student learning. So we may want to consider getting copies of this book down the line and for all of us to review this. It follows the document that we had, as well as the handout that was included for you with those 8 areas. And there are people from the School Board Association who could help facilitate such meetings or could give us some direction on how to deal with that. But I know that not everyone gets out to meetings and workshops, and this would be a way of kind of bringing the workshop to us.
I
here.
agree with Barb, especially with the change of superintendent. Stan's wealth of knowledge and being able to help us and guide us, we're losing that. So I think we could definitely use the help,
And
your
I would-
experience is
And I would suggest, I think, certainly bringing in the leader of the executive director of the school boards. So I think I really respect him and his helping through that. And And sometimes boards, and that's usually when they're disabled, they bring in the executive director.
They wait till
of
they're
WASDA.
broken?
WASDA to bring together the representing persons dealing with directing the superintendent's organization. But I think you have what I would title a July or August effort. That would be good, because Vicki should be a party to that conversation.
Absolutely,
And,
absolutely.
and I would not suggest that we deal with that in June, and also not deal with it on the corrected date, May 4th.
Right, yeah, but in the future with
Yeah.
the new,
Yeah.
with the new term, yeah.
Yeah,
I
because
think that's a
setting
great
in
idea.
place, I think that's a very healthy place to begin. And I think the leadership of the School Boards Association is very good in the state. And I think would be a helpful one to
With-
guide the board
with Dr.
into
Cartwright, too,
direction. But also remembering that as you deal with that, unless you want to be careful with the community, don't abandon all the precepts that exist in the strategic plan.
Oh, no,
Because
no,
the
no,
community
no.
will expect that you're going to deal with what they told
Absolutely.
you,
Right.
as opposed to, and then mold your handling of those issues. I think the Key Works of the Board is an excellent document. I've used that with boards many times before, and it's excellent, and this process is a good one. I think just the setting was not the right one for tonight.
Okay.
Right, I think, just to clarify, I talked about them coming in to help us as a board
Mhm.
be more productive and do it, you know, as a board and working together, nothing to do with the strategic plan or the community itself, you know, that's separate, yeah.
Mhm.
I think it's great that we had a unanimous participation in this. And having sat through a couple of earlier sessions of analyzing data where the poor board president had to sit up here and
That was
write down
not-
every,
Okay.
That was, yeah.
every response
That
to
was
every question.
horrible, yeah.
Having these bar graphs
This
is
was
is
fantastic.
Somebody did it
wonderful.
for us.
This was so easy
And it
and
didn't
so
cost us
amazing.
anything.
Yes.
Thank you.
And it was, and it
And no
hit
s-
the right points, and there
right.
wasn't any doubles, and yeah.
And no
this
central
was
office
very
secretary
nice.
had to spend hours
Yeah.
tabulating
Yeah.
everything either, so
Yeah.
I think there were some real advantages to using this form.
Thank you, Barb.
Absolutely,
You're
thank
welcome.
you.
Thank you.
It was simple.
All right, so can I make a motion to move this workshop to April 4th?
So moved. Or, yes.
Somebody- I'm going to make the motion, someone needs a second,
Second.
and then we got to vote. Please call the roll.
Olmsted?
Aye.
Olmsted, aye. Peschel?
Aye.
Peschel, aye. Carlin?
Aye.
Carlin, aye. Eliason?
Aye.
Eliason, aye. Evans?
Aye.
Evans, aye. Garner?
Aye.
Garner, aye. Herzog?
Aye.
Herzog, aye. Motion carried.
Okay, request for future agenda items. Yes.
Yes, did we cover that? No.
We did
can
it
cover
last
that.
time. I think we've already, isn't it on our future agenda?
It is.
I'm pretty
Yes.
sure.
Mhm.
Yeah, so we can
Yeah.
include
So we're
that
good.
discussion in there. Okay.
We're, Sherry asked me about it, and I said,
Okay.
I need to have dinner or lunch with Steve to explore with him the direction we go as a follow-up to that, and then we'll create a structure.
Perfect.
Mhm.
Perfect, thank you.
Any other future? Yes?
Oh, no, I had an
Oh,
announcement, sorry.
sorry, I got
Sorry,
to. And, yes.
Just a clarification, on the long-range future agenda item, we have May 23rd with a question mark behind it for the board reorganization meeting.
Should be April 23rd.
Under Wisconsin law, that would be because that's the fourth Monday of the month, it's chapter 120.06, I believe. Whoever is elected on April 3rd must take the oath of office by that fourth Monday.
Mhm.
The reorganization meeting doesn't have to be that night, but they have to take the office on
Yeah, yeah.
or before that date, or the office is considered open. So, just so we.
Reminder.
Just so we get everybody to take the oath of office
And I'm on the phone with
appropriately.
them if they
Good,
get close.
good, because we don't want any vacancies created that way.
Mhm.
Awesome. Thank
Thank
you
you.
for the
Sure.
reminder. Any other future agenda items that we would like to consider? Okay, now we can go to announcements. Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to take a minute and say congratulations to all the students and teachers that participated in the Mark Wood concert on Friday night. It was amazing, and I have never been so proud of our students. It was just electrifying, and thank you to Katie for being on top of the social media. This is fantastic, and if anybody wants to watch it, I think somebody posted the actual video, the full concert on the event site, maybe? Yeah, so it was fantastic. Kudos to all.
Awesome, thank you.
In talking to you last night, we had the all of our choir directors across the district engaged in concert at Kimball Auditorium that included 7th graders, 8th graders, and high school students performing. And the auditorium, when you have all the students that are participating seated plus their parents, Kimball was nearly 100% full. And in talking to the choir directors, I'm sure that between orchestra and choir, I've discovered that they are all totally worn out and could hardly wait for spring break to occur. I talked to the choir director, both high school choir directors as well as the middle school choir directors, and had cross paths with the orchestra director. They're all longing for a little breather through that, but what an amazing task to take on. And that recognition and honoring our choir directors and orchestra director will be an important future task as well, because they put us on the map with outstanding performance, and one couldn't ask for a better experience. So it was quite the weekend.
Yeah.
Exciting.
Exciting.
Past week, yeah.
And can I also congratulate the Wave Robotics team for celebrating 10 years last night?
Yes.
Stan and Kelly and I were there, and they walked
Barb
us
was there
through.
too.
And Barb was there
Barb.
too. They walked us through their timeline of robots that they've built, and they're in the championship for the next
Yeah.
competition.
They
So
go
good
to
luck.
Detroit in the end of
In
April.
Detroit, yeah, the World Championship.
And a
It's
shout out to
great.
the Lego League. Those kids are amazing too. They were there too.
Right.
Yeah.
There are so many things, so
Too-
many
so
good
many.
things going on. And behind every successful student activity, there are one or more teachers who
Yeah.
contributed
They
to
were all
that.
there
And
last
I
night.
want to give a
Amazing.
shout out to the Webster Stanley Middle School Jazz Band, who performed last week Thursday night at an event at the Payne, and really put themselves on the map,
So
because
around.
the people who attended were just so impressed with this junior high or middle school group of young musicians who performed for an event that night. So kudos
did
to
great, too.
Webster Stanley Middle School Jazz Band.
In North High School should celebrate the foundation they're getting, because they are getting so much strength moving into the band program at North High School.
Yeah. Any other announcements? That was great. All right. Well, I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Please call the roll.
Peschel?
Aye.
Peschel, aye. Carlin?
Aye.
Carlin, aye. Eliason?
Aye.
Eliason, aye. Evans?
Aye.
Evans, aye. Garner?
Aye.
Garner, aye. Herzog?
Aye.
Herzog, aye. Olmstead?
Aye.
Olmstead, aye.
All right. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.